Hey guys, today I'm excited to talk to you about Stargirl Season 2, Episode 2. Now, there will be spoilers in this review, so if you have not already seen Episode 2, table this video, come back to it later after you've checked it out. Alright, let's talk about Stargirl because there's a lot that happened in this episode. Feels like setup for some major stuff that's going to happen down the road, and I'm really looking forward to it, and it's got me even more hyped for what's to come in Stargirl Season 2. Let's talk about it. If this is your first time here, I'd love it if you take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, go ahead and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any coverage of Stargirl, also covering DC Titans as well. All right, let's talk about it. Hey, Tessa from MamasGeeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Okay, so this episode is pretty insane. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. We learn a lot more about Jenny, Green Lantern's daughter, aka Jade, like a lot more about her. We learn about her past. We get to see her using her power and see just how powerful she is. There's also some new villains that have come to Blue Valley, right? We've got Eclipso, which is crazy that we get to see in action through Cindy at the end of this episode. And then we also have the Shade coming into town. And, Courtney's ready. She's chomping at the bit to suit up and take him on, which I'm a little nervous for her about. But let's talk about this episode, kind of give a recap of what happened. Of course, we start with Cindy coming home. Her mom, her stepmom's not too thrilled about it. She was dancing around, drinking wine, breaking plates, so happy to be free of Cindy and her husband. And well, now Cindy is back, and she's back under her thumb, under control. So of course, she's not thrilled about that. Throughout the episode, we do see Eclipso really poking at her, even literally tells her to kill Cindy. So we know that Eclipso is a bad guy, which we did see a little bit of at the beginning of episode 1 of this season. Just to follow up all the way on this storyline, at the very end of the episode, she does try to kill Cindy, and Eclipso comes through Cindy saying something along the lines of sinful human, and then literally just feeds off the darkness, leaving her in a pile of dust, basically. Even licks her lips through Cindy, licks his lips. Is crazy, and was all like, yeah, I just ate this person. I mean, so dark. Cindy comes back, yells, gets upset. My body is my body. I will put you back in the box where I found you if you continue to use my body like this. This is not okay. I'm the one who's in control. Eclipso kind of mocks her a little bit, says, yeah, I know you're in control. But it was very much that feeling of you remember the Guardians and Thor, Peter Quill and Thor, when Thor's like, yeah, you're in control, Peter, sure. That's kind of the vibe that I got. So I'm interested to see where Eclipso goes for the rest of this season, and perhaps even more in the future. Who knows? Cindy is definitely bitten off more than she can chew at this point, for sure, without a doubt. Now, we get a lot of Courtney and Jenny in this episode as well. Courtney is very jealous of her, which you can tell pretty much from the beginning. She doesn't trust her, or she says she doesn't trust her at least, but really it seems, she constantly mentions that she is a superhero's daughter, and obviously she thought for a very long time that she was Starman's daughter, so it's that jealousy there of the fact that Jenny really is Green Lantern's daughter. Also, something that I really liked that they stuck in there towards the beginning was when Jenny realized who Pat was. She was like, wow, you're a legend, and she really treated him well, and I think he really appreciated that, and it's such a polar opposite to how Courtney treated him at first, and still does every now and then, honestly, but I think she was very jealous of that initial bond that Jenny and Pat had, and then not to mention that she had to go off to summer school. Jenny and Pat got to spend some time together trying to figure out the lantern. Now, he did let her know that emotions, I guess, really are what controls the power. You remember that from Alan. He was a little confused as to why the ring didn't need to be charged, because Alan did have to charge the ring every day from the lantern or wouldn't have its powers. So the fact that the ring worked right away for her was a little intriguing, and they weren't sure what was up there. We also learned that Jenny has a brother. She has a photo that she carries around, and she said that when she put the ring on, what she wanted was to find her brother, and it led her to Blue Valley, and led her to the lantern, which really had her upset. Wasn't what she wanted. She really was out looking for her brother, not this lantern. And of course, she gets super emotional. The lantern is about to explode. That's a whole thing. I'll talk about that a little bit later in this video. That part was very interesting and I do like where it leads. Seems like it's leading down the road. Yolanda is actually in summer school despite getting straight A's. Her parents decided to sign her up to keep her out of trouble. Turns out there's also the son of the fiddler is one of the people in summer school as well. And as we know from the end of the previous episode, he is someone that Cindy is looking to recruit alongside Mike, Courtney's brother, which is crazy. But we didn't get any of that or any recruiting at all from Cindy. In fact, Cindy was in this episode very little, mostly just with that Eclipso stuff, which is still intriguing and interesting. And of course, we're going to get a lot more throughout the season of Cindy trying to reform this ISA. We also get a little bit more of Rick clearly out on the lookout for Solomon Grundy. He goes back to the location where he left the chicken last episode, bringing pizzas. All that's left is the buckets. We don't see Solomon, but we do hear some groans, and then the camera kind of ends up being at the angle from the woods, where clearly we are seeing through Solomon's eyes as he watches Rick leave. So sure that there's going to be some Solomon Grundy later on in this season, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm interested to see where that goes, because obviously Rick is looking for him, but not in a bad way. Like maybe a little bit in a bad way, but more in an interested way. And he's caring for him. I mean, he's literally leaving food out for him. So I'm interested to see where that goes as well. Back to Jenny trying to control this power, right? Pat explains to her that you put the ring on and you think of something you want. She ends up forming this toy car, which we did see towards the beginning of the episode. We saw where she was in this children's home and it was her birthday and she's not a child anymore. They need room for children, go out. And that's where we see that the ring was left to her. She puts it on and it basically brings her to Blue Valley, brings her to the Whitmore's house, brings her to find that lantern, and that's why Courtney doesn't trust her, because she just kind of showed up through the door. They started a fight. They were fighting at the end of the last episode. It wasn't like she knocked on the door and was like, hey, I think maybe my dad's lantern is here. Like, can we talk? It started off very aggressive. Obviously, they got off on the wrong foot. Courtney kind of throws a little bit of a fit in front of her friends when she finds out that they all told her about the JSA. And again, it's a jealousy thing as well. Courtney has a little talk with Pat, realizes this, and decides to apologize to Jenny, who then just kind of flips out and gets overloaded with emotions. Now, at the same time, someone named Richard Swift has shown up at Barbara's office and is inquiring about the wizard's collection, magic collection. He says he's a magic collector, a stage magic collector, and that's why he wants this stuff. He wants it to be sold to him. He will purchase it for a very high price. Of course, this guy is the Shade. He is the last known member of the ISA that is unaccounted for, and he's not doing good things. Clearly, he wants the wizard's stuff for bad purposes. Barbara doesn't trust him because she does know the identity of him. So she, not of the Shade, but of the wizard. So she's like a little skeptical when he's asking about William Zarek's stuff. She's like, I don't know. So she tells Pat. She also suggests to Richard to get tea at a diner. So then she calls Pat and sends Pat to this diner. He's trying to get information out of him, just kind of getting a look at him, trying to figure out who he is. He does notice a very old watch on his wrist. And then we see the kids running from the garage with this green lantern that looks like it's about to explode. He makes an excuse. He goes and he follows that. Now, again, he tries to calm Jenny down. Hey, it's the emotions. Like, that's what's controlling it. Courtney gets a light bulb in her head and all of a sudden realizes, wait, Jenny, I think you're the lantern. That's why the ring worked for you. You charged it. You're controlling this. You can absorb the power before it explodes. She tells everyone to leave just in case it doesn't work. They prove their trust in her and their belief in her and decide to all stay. She does absorb the power, but only for a minute before she does explode, knocking them back. No one is really hurt. And then it looks like she disappeared and there's a giant crater in the ground, but then she's floating and she's green and she's like, hey, I can fly now. Cut to the Whitmore's house, cut to their house in the morning, and Courtney does wake up and asks her mom, do you know where Jenny is? And Jenny's already left. She was gone before I woke up. So Jenny is probably out on the lookout for her brother somewhere or something off flying around. Who knows? I'm sure she'll be back later on in this season. So that's basically what happened in this episode. And I will say it's a pretty good episode, although it feels like there wasn't as much action as we usually get in Stargirl. There wasn't really a fight. Of course, there is a setup for that, for sure, because we have the Shade in town. We have Eclipso literally eating people's darkness and destroying them, controlling Cindy, which is definitely not a good thing. Of course, we have Solomon Grundy out there in the woods somewhere doing something. Now we have a Green Lantern's daughter as part of the picture. Even if she's left, I'm sure she's going to be coming back. There's a lot going on. And then, not to mention, at the very end of the episode, Pat does tell Courtney that the Shade is here. He confirms it is him. He is looking through files, notices the watch, and says, yes, he's here. I don't know why. And Courtney's very excited to possibly suit up and take on this new villain, this new member of the ISA. So when it comes to the powers of the Green Lantern and the Green Lantern ring, it is very reminiscent of the cosmic staff. The sound is pretty much the same. It's almost that same glow, except it's green. The effects aren't fantastic, which is what I've said in the past about the cosmic staff effects, but you know, it's a TV show. They don't have a giant budget, and I think it works for what they're trying to get across. There was some weird dialogue and some pacing issues in this episode. It's definitely not the best episode of the series at all, but it does feel like it is there to lay the foundation for what is to come in this season. We needed to learn more about Jenny. We needed to know that the Shade is in town. We need to know that Solomon Grundy's out there. Of course, Courtney. We need to know that Courtney and Yolanda are both in summer school. Stuff like that they're setting up for. There's only so much you can do in a 40-minute episode. So I'm just looking forward to where this leads on down the road. It's a decent episode. It's not bad. It's not fantastic. But there's a lot of information there, a lot of character building, a lot of plot development. And I'm looking forward to more. Again, not enough action, but hey, that's okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the Stripe robot does now, Stripe suit, whatever you want to call it, does now have a flamethrower, thanks to Zeke. He went ahead and put that on there. I know he had mentioned it to Pat last episode, and he did do it. And you know what? It looks pretty cool, and Pat kind of loves it too. So this episode, not my favorite. Definitely not bad, though. Definitely setting up for what's in the future, and I can't wait. You guys let me know your thoughts about Stargirl Season 2, Episode 2 down below in the comments. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Like I said, I'm going to be doing this for every episode of Stargirl Season 2, so stay tuned, stick around. If you want more information, you can head to MamasGeeky.com. I have a full review of this episode up there, as well as a recap. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, guys. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much to all of my monetary supporters, my members here on YouTube, as well as my patrons. If you haven't joined yet, please consider doing so. We have some really awesome perks, including a monthly Zoom meeting where we get to talk face to face. Thank you again to everyone who supports me.